So if you've ever heard of blue hour, it's a time that occurs just before sunrise or right after sunset. But what if you wanted to create blue hour during the day? So today I'm going to show you how to do a blue hour grade in DaVinci Resolve. All right, so I have a simple serial node tree here. We're going to do our CST in, our exposure, our contrast, our blue hour, our warmth, our hue versus saturation if needed, our color space transform going out, and then our Fuji film and our LUTs. So this is what the 9-step node tree of what I'm going to use today. And yours does not have to look like this. I think you can actually do this in probably 5 nodes. So because we're working with Blackmagic footage, I made sure that I put my input color space from video Gen 5, and then this is also the 6K, so we're going to do film Gen 4, and then we're working in DaVinci wide gamut and DaVinci intermediate, and then the same thing with our outer color space. We're doing DaVinci wide gamut, DaVinci intermediate, all the way to sitting on film log. First thing I'm going to do is we're actually going to use Fuji. So we're going to come over to our film looks, and we are going to select on the Rec 709 Fuji film 3513 D60, and that's going to instantly kind of transform our image. We're going to come back over to our exposure, and I am actually going to decrease our gain. So one thing that is extremely popular for day for night grades is always to drop down your exposure, because that is essentially what the nighttime is. It's darker, but it works best when you have an image that was exposed kind of over a little bit from past experience. So we're going to decrease that gain probably around here, decrease some of those shadows, and then maybe drop the gamma as much as we can. And then our contrast, we're going to come over, we're going to switch the pivot to 0.336 since we're working in DaVinci wide gamut, and we have the ability to increase that contrast. And the reason why I'm also doing this to create my subject to be like a silhouette is because I want that blue hour to feel dreamy. I want my subject to be immersed in the sky, yet they are still standing strong within this specific image. So we're done with the exposure, done with the contrast. What we're gonna do is we're actually going to come over and add a LUT. Now this LUT, I'm also going to link if I can re-find it. These were Gabrielle Blackwood LUTs. We are going to use, I'm going to try the dark pecan one. And then what I'm actually going to do is I am going to key this down a bit, 0.700. Now you don't need a LUT. You can literally use any type of LUT you want, but in reality, I'm just going to use the LUT on top of the Fujifilm look. So then coming over to our blue hour, this is super simple. All we're going to do is we're going to come over to our shadows or the lights. In reality, I want to mess around more with the shadow. So I'm going to bring this down towards the blues, and you can kind of already see how the color has switched. If I wanted to come over to the exposure and re-increase some of that gamma, I could do so. Our subject is extremely dark in this situation. We have the ability to mess with the highlights. So if you wanted something much more neutral where you could also see your subject, just drop down your highlights as much as you possibly can. Increase some of those shadows because they will become a shadow, and then the same thing with the gamma. So then coming over to hue versus saturation, we are going to come over to the curves, and we're just going to select on those blues, and we're going to kind of increase it ever so slightly. And then the warmth is there to kind of add in more of like what the sunset or the sunrise would have. So when we see that sun coming in, you can kind of already see where the pink is popping up. So if we were to do that, it's going to neutralize some of the blues that we had essentially, and that is going to kind of balance it out a bit. In terms of turning off the LUT, now you can kind of see what's going on. You can do all of this without the LUT. Turning it on, I kind of like how it looks. And just like that, we've created a blue hour look. Very straightforward and very easy. So if you want to have access to resources such as the LUTs that I use and some of the strategies that I have, feel free to go subscribe to my Patreon. It's absolutely free to join. And then if you also like short form content, feel free to go follow my Instagram and TikTok, as I post a lot of stuff there as well. That's all I have for now, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take it easy.